Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Augusta Civic Center, day 713 of our sentencing here. But we're getting close. I'm Travis Barrett, alongside Drew Bonifant, Travis Lazarczyk.
Hello.
We just finished the Class A North boys and girls finals. Small confession to make. For the second time this week, Coach grabbed me after the game and told me that my podcast predictions fueled the fire. So in the girls' game, Hamden Academy upsets Skowhegan 32-28. Ends Skowhegan's quest for an undefeated season and, of course, the regional championship. And in the boys' game tonight, Lawrence 47, Skowhegan 40. That's the fourth-seeded Lawrence Bulldogs with their 8th regional title in school history. Rough night for the Indians.
Yeah, I don't think the boys' game was a surprise because I think they were two pretty even teams. And while Lawrence had an early lead and never relinquished it, Skowhegan did make a run. I think they cut it to 1 point there.
Yeah.
And so, but the girls' game, frankly, I'm very surprised, particularly the way Skowhegan started out 10-0 run to open the game, and then from there on, I think Hamden took a timeout and controlled the pace of play really the rest of the night.
Yeah, it was, I think if we start with that girls' game, I think, I said, I think we talked about it last night, and I put it on Twitter right before the game. I thought the Bailey Donovan-Annie Cook matchup was not the difference tonight. I thought it was the guard play that was going to be a difference. I think it was, but I also think Bailey Donovan had an effect on the game that I don't think anyone saw coming. She had a double-double with 11 points and 10 rebounds. But what she really did was she hung out about 3 feet below the foul line in the middle of a 2-3 zone, which, according to Nick Winchester, the Hamden coach, that's the first time they've played it all year. They wanted to have a new wrinkle. They've been working on it. They brought it out tonight. She stood there in that paint with her arms, and she prevented Skowhegan, as well as they can pass the ball, move the ball around, she prevented them from that skip pass that goes straight across everything to somebody wide open for a three or an outside jump shot on the weak side. Right. And I think that's what changed the game. It wasn't the points she got, and it wasn't the rebounds. It was the way that she defended in the middle of that zone.
Yeah, so often you think that when you look at somebody who has the height that she has, and when somebody can have be so tall they can be dominant, you look at it and say, oh, well, they'll be able to score a ton of points. Well, the other half of it is that they could just totally alter a team's offensive approach. And so you can look at it and say that a center, scores 6 points or something and say, oh, wow, they didn't have that big a game. Well, they could have so many contributions outside of the score sheet. And so, I mean, we've seen that happen with Hamden's opponents before, too, that just layups you can't do them.
She alters every shot.
Yeah, you have to hope your shots are on target because you just are not going to be able to get anything inside.
Yeah, crazy game. I think what happened as it kind of progressed, because not only did Skowhegan score the first 10 points of that game inside of the first 4 minutes of the quarter, Hamden turned the ball over on 7 of its first 8 possessions, and yet, like you said, somehow they were able to rebound. And I think when Hamden got back into it, Cook and Everett both, who are really the low post presence for Skowhegan this year, had foul trouble. Cook didn't play the last 6 minutes and 40 seconds of the first half with her second foul. And what slowly started to happen as that game stayed low scoring and stayed close is I felt like Skowhegan looked like the nerves got to them. I thought if they have so many times this year, they come out after halftime, they got a 10-point lead, and they're firing threes and they're firing from outside. I felt like even when those shots were there tonight, they could feel the weight of, I can't afford to miss this shot right now. And they were passing on shots. And of course, then when they did shoot, they were horrendous. They shot less than 31% from the floor.
And it felt like in the last couple minutes, when they needed to be patient, Skowhegan wasn't patient.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They had the ball with 2.5 minutes left, and they're passing around the perimeter. And at that point, Hamden had one foul. They had the foul to get Skowhegan to line and have a chance to get the ball back. And Skowhegan took a couple shots where I'm thinking, you don't need to shoot right now.
Yeah.
You're up 1. Make Hamden foul you. You're a good free throw shooting team. Go to the line.
Yeah.
And take more time off the clock. And there was a shot with about 30 seconds left that, Bailey Donovan gets the rebound. They come down, they call timeout. Donovan gets a layup and one, and that was the difference there. Hamden's ahead, and that's the game.
For Skowhegan, it probably just goes to emphasize the point of they were not tested at all during the regular season.
Yeah.
And we can say that they were, this team played them tough. But their average margin of victory, I did it going into the tournament, was well over 20 points a night. And so I think when it got to be crunch time, even though they're a senior-laden group, they've got 5 senior starters, I think the moment just kind of overtook them because they haven't been there enough
Yeah,
this
they
year.
had not enough close games on the resume.
Yeah, and how often do you see that happen with teams where they'll have a season like that, and the coach will say throughout the season, "Oh no, we had like you said, we got some challenges from these guys, from this team and that team and this team and that team," and it's almost like you get the sense that the coach doesn't want to admit and put that thought in their head, like, "Hey, we haven't yet faced the kind of tough situation we might have to face," and then when they end up losing in a game like that, they say afterwards, our nerves showed.
And they had
that
2 double-digit wins over this Hampden team, so they had to be confident coming into this game. And they should have been confident. They were undefeated.
Yeah, they beat them by 15. They beat them by 24.
You wonder when it's a team that you've put away easily 2 times in a row, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of a tough game.
Ooh.
It's got to be hard to think. Okay, I know this game isn't going according to plan, but we're still fine. I mean, I got to think it's easy for that thought to sink in. Oh no, what's going on? This is not supposed to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a tough way to end. I think one thing that's going to jump out at me here is it was Sydney Ames last year as her junior who had a 3 for a chance to tie it against Messalonski in a regional semifinal. Didn't go in. Tonight she's got the ball with 17 seconds to go. And Hampden stepped up the pressure on the guards on the inbounds play. Picked the pocket of Ames, and off McLaughlin goes and for the layup that essentially cinches the win. Just a tough way to end it, but I think anytime you're undefeated, and that's kind of the killer as you go deeper into these tournaments, the losses don't get an easier take. But credit Hampden, man. Yeah, what a great game.
How many teams are going to change and play a defense they haven't done all year just because they know they have to do something? So many teams say, "Hey, we did this to get here. We're going to keep doing it," and pound their head against the wall and lose.
Yeah, I think too. Just a final thought on that game. Bailey Donovan, what she was as a sophomore and a junior, what she's been as a senior, the way she essentially played 3 different kinds of games in this regional tournament, and every one was a game changer. I think you can't overlook that. I mean, she really turned her senior season into kind of what everybody watched her as a 6'3" center early on and thought, man, what she could be. Yeah. And I think she put it all together. And I think this
experience and potential met.
Yeah, this tournament kind of
showed in this
cemented
tournament.
It for her.
And when it comes to on court, what's better in basketball than a versatile big man inside? So it's you get somebody there who could have some depth to their game. It really becomes a huge asset.
Yeah, true story. All right, boys. Lawrence, 47, Skowhegan, 40. Skowhegan, the 7 seed. We talked a lot about kind of their Cinderella run through this tournament. Did they just run out of gas tonight, or did they run into a team that was just simply better than they were?
I think they ran into a team that was also playing pretty well. You can remember Lawrence started out 0-4 and then reeled off 10 wins to 10-4 down the stretch to get the 4th seed and beat some pretty good teams. Upset Coney to get to this game. And I thought Lawrence played excellent defense tonight, really. Marcus Christopher, who'd been scoring at will at times in the first 2 rounds of this tournament, really had to work for everything he got. And I don't think he got that many. What?
Only 11.
11,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's not just that they upset Coney or something like that where you could just when you hear the word upset, it makes it sound like, they kind of lucked into it. But they were the better team.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 rounds.
Yeah, I don't mean to imply otherwise.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, it's somebody who didn't watch that game might see that Coney lost Lawrence and say, oh, wow, Coney must have had a tough shooting night. No, Lawrence took it to Coney, and Lawrence was the better team against Erskine. They were the better team against Coney, and they were the better team today. Their defense that they rolled out at the start of the game was absolutely dominant. And Skowhegan started to figure it out as the game went on, but Tom Netto said after the game it was a little too much, a little too big a hole to climb out of, and with the way Lawrence is playing, you can't afford to fall behind by too much.
Kind of an amazing way to wrap up a tournament, really. I mean, I think for Lawrence, kind of an unknown coming into it. I heard you guys both ask people about stuff for the game. When did Lawrence kind of start thinking that they were this kind of team? Beyond just being a good team, or I think every time we talk to somebody, I feel like, when did you guys know you were good? Oh, we knew we were good, or we knew we were good in the summer. But when did it really click for them?
I think it came a few weeks ago. They had a tough 1-point loss to Coney at the buzzer. Their next game's against Hampden. You lose a tough game at home to Coney. even though they're good, your season could go in the tank. But they rallied, they beat Hamden, and from there they kind of, okay, we can play with these top teams because we're one of these top teams.
That's what Robertson said. He said, Nick Robertson, their senior captain guard, said it was that 2-point game against the win over Hamden because that's what thought, well, wait a minute, if this is the best team in our region and we beat them, why not? It's that why not us feeling.
Sure.
And it's one thing to look around and say, oh, if we play with these teams, well, maybe it could be our time. And then it's another thing to actually have that tangential proof of, there's nobody that we can't beat.
Yeah,
I don't know anything else about that game. To me, that was just a game. It just felt like Lawrence, even when they've done it this whole tournament. They did it against Coney when they needed a shot. They got it late, and I think again tonight they had 3 players in double figures. I mean, they get it from a little bit of everybody. It's whatever it takes on any given night, right?
Yeah, it's not like some of the teams we cover. I'm thinking of Halldale in particular, where it's like if we're in trouble, okay, we give it to our big guns and let them win the game for us. Neto hit big shots, then Robertson hit a big 3 that put them up 7 late. Scott Hegan comes back, and this time it's Gavin Herron, another senior captain who makes the plays late. So it really is. And Coach Pellerin said after the game, like, that's who we are. We're not a team with one stud that goes out. Kobe Neto got most outstanding player. We get the contributions from everybody, and it makes them tough to beat.
Yeah, they're designed that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good tournament. We did it a little bit last night, so we don't have to go into it too much, but we had kind of a night to digest as we look forward to Saturday. Let's start Class D South girls, Class D South boys, both playing regional finals here tomorrow. The 2 favorites for all of us, Rangeley in the girls and Forest Hills in the boys. Is it their tournament to lose tomorrow for both of them?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not going to overthink this. I think it's Forest Hills and Rangeley head and shoulders above the rest of those teams.
I think Temple boys are a nice little story, and what they've kind of done here, getting their first wins in a tournament setting and in the school's history is nice, but I just think Forest Hills is too many options. So, yeah, I'm with you guys. Class C South boys, let's look at that one quickly. Halldale Winthrop.
That's going to be the game of the day in the state, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game, and you can twist yourself into one of those convenience stand pretzels, thinking about how many ways Halldale does this, but then Winthrop does that. Well, Halldale will counter with this, but then Winthrop will counter with that. I just think it just comes down to this current Halldale team. Winthrop has not figured out how to beat them.
Wow,
they lost the final last year. They lost in the regular season last year. They lost the regular season this year. Winthrop's better than they were in the regular season, but it just. It's one of those things where those that seems to get reshuffled when you get to off season and graduation and everything. Not so much in season. It's not going to be easy. This is going to be a tough matchup for Halldale, but they've made the plays to win before. And I have a hunch they'll do it again.
I would ask Todd MacArthur about it, but that self-affirmed film junkie is probably up all night watching film. Yeah. So. We can't
Poured
get
himself
him
a coffee and he's breaking down film.
Oh, yeah, it's 11:30 right now.
Yeah,
close to 11:30. So yeah, he's probably got about 4 more hours to go.
4 more hours of film. Class B North girls, Waterville and MDI. I know I asked you last night, so I won't ask you again. I will just say, I think the Purple Panthers are coming home with a regional championship tomorrow.
I kind of do too. I think that they've been the best team in that tournament so far, despite being the 3 seed and the only undefeated team. I think they've. Had some close games, and they've rallied in the second half, facing what little adversity they've had to face. MDI coming off a really gut-checking win over Winslow with to get a 3 at the buzzer to even send it to overtime and then pulling away. MDI is the number 1 seed. I just don't know if they've seen pressure like Waterville's going to give them in the full court. And if Waterville can get some easy transition buckets early and get ahead, I think it could be a long day for the Trojans.
Yeah, the MDI angle is just you win a game like that where it looks like you're getting ready to go home and you pull one out like in the semifinals against Winslow. Those teams have a tendency to kind of, it's the start of something bigger. So I'd be a little worried about that from a Waterville perspective. But then again, Waterville's undefeated this year because they've aced every challenge that's come their way.
Only other thing I wanted to touch on tonight quickly. Just to kind of circle back these Class A North games. Instead of a final thought, I'm just going to give you guys a final thought. Did anyone ever expect that if we take both the boys' game and the girls' game tonight, that the highest scorer would only have 13 points from any of those 4 teams? Those games were ridiculously low scoring tonight.
Yeah, even in game, 47-40 in the boys and 32-28 in the girls?
Yeah.
That's still kind of low.
Chase Carey, 13 points. That's the high water mark.
Yeah, it's this was a game where defense took over. It wasn't so much no team could buy a basket. It wasn't like they were turning over all nonstop. It was just really well played defense on both sides, and it became evident early on that there wasn't going to be anybody scoring 20, 24 in this one. So
I think that's a wrap from the Augusta Civic Center. Well, gentlemen, well done tonight.
Thank you. You as well.
Have fun in Bangor tomorrow,
I
Travis. Drew, I'll see you here, and we will wrap up the final day of the regional tournaments, and then we'll all sleep for a week.
I'll be back here Sunday to cover the UMaine women, so I'll
right.
sleep Monday.
I will sleep 2 weeks for you, then, if that's all right.
All right. That won't help me at all.
Thanks for listening. CentralMaine.com and Twitter and Facebook, as always, to keep up with all the action. And we'll see you again tomorrow night at the Augusta Civic Center. Thanks for listening.